easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me breaking your sweat. You're falling into me, touch me, I swear. You would do anything that I want, so keep us awake till the dawn. Baby, feel free. I'm gonna make you sweat on me.
Woo!
Yo, it's the way that Sweat on Me had more verses.
Honestly.
Yeah, it has more verses.
What should be like a 5-6 minute song, and we just don't know.
Welcome to the 50th episode of the CJ Unedited podcast. We are super excited because not only are we joined by Kevin for our unedited movie review, we are joined by Chrissy's husband, Rob McNamara. Mainly because Chrissy's a wimp and won't watch war movies.
Yeah, I don't watch war movies. I'm too, what is it? Prenatal and sad right now. Well, I'm not sad, but you know, I couldn't do it before, and this happens to be a movie that Rob really loves. So yeah. And if y'all like thought I was lying, like I do have a husband.
I don't think anyone was lying about that.
And James and Kevin have both met Rob before, so
Witnesses.
Welcome to this week's episode. This is a jam-packed episode. We have a lot to cover.
Yes.
So we're going to jump right into Chrissy and Rob. How have you guys been? How was your past week? And then we'll go to Kevin.
My week was okay. It's the 3rd trimester of my pregnancy, so I'm very tired. The baby is like pushing on my nerve, so that's kind of annoying. But St. Patty's Day is coming up, and we got the parade this weekend, and yeah, we're kicking.
We are kicking.
What's up? How you doing?
Yeah, good. I put the crib together for Finn. Can you curse on this podcast?
Sure.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Sweden. Learn to make furniture easier to put together. That was a bitch.
I wasn't ready. Is that all?
Anything
Is that
else?
all we're doing?
Okay. That's the biggest news.
Oh, yeah, you did do it in your D&D campaign on Monday.
I did.
Yeah, this little D&D game on Monday. You enjoyed that?
Got to lead a drunken bird person through the streets and kill some goblins.
Fun? I'm
It's
guessing
D&D. I wouldn't ask.
Seems fun.
Any viewer watches D&D, let us know. You can join Rob's campaign.
There's a movie coming out in like a couple weeks, but that's probably as far as my knowledge is going to go with Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, that is true. There is a movie coming out. The movie looks really fun.
It does.
Like, to watch.
And
So-
also, not being advertised enough, there's going to be a like Amazon Prime screening on like the 19th, like early one. So that's also exciting.
Like the movies being released?
Yeah, it's like an early screening on like the 19th if you have like Amazon Prime. And like it's in theaters, but like you have to have Amazon Prime in order to get the showing. It's
My
like
mom has Amazon Prime, so I have Amazon Prime.
yeah.
I have Amazon Prime.
Jeff Bezos doesn't watch his show, does he?
Does that mean I can watch it? Okay. Kevin, how have you been? How is life? Wait, just
It's
right
pretty
on.
good. You know, nothing crazy going on. A lot of working. Last week I inadvertently worked 9 hours. Didn't know I was supposed to. Was supposed to be like a regular like 11 to 5 shift, and then I get a text and it's like, "Hey, what's the earliest you can come in?" And I said 8 o'clock, and didn't realize when saying that he meant 8 to 5. So yeah, that was fun. I had a cold for a few days because of it, but I'm good now. I'm good.
Sorry, I'm over here trying to get things ready for the show that I didn't have ready. Typical me. I've been good. Working a lot. We had spring break, and I didn't really get to enjoy spring break. So yeah, there's that. But we're just gonna jump right into this with our brand. Oh, we have some people in the chat that want to say hello.
Hello.
That says hello, everyone.
King.
My Stephanie, one of the founders of Birkin Brewing Company, says, I'm here.
Oh my god.
Speaking of Birkin Brewing Company, it's time for our brand new segment we like to call Name the Coffee Flavor.
Oh, no more what you're drinking. Okay.
Oh my god, we skipped over that. Oh, let's go right back. Let's hold on 1 second. You know,
I thought this was like in place.
Okay, what are we drinking tonight, everyone?
What are you drinking? Got so much more lame since I've been pregnant, but whatever. Let's play. I have Gatorade Zero, the ice flavor.
Okay.
The blood of my enemies.
Water.
Be positive.
I'm also with Rob on the water train.
This is
Kevin.
this is dark cherry Propel Gatorade. Is it in you?
I have a Pepsi.
What?
Okay.
What?
The betrayal of the ages.
Listen. Free soda, okay? Like, you're gonna take a free soda.
I'm gonna tell those polar bears, man.
And then, my mother says hello.
Oh my god, all the besties are up in here tonight.
Alani New Dream Float. I have no idea what that is. I like it.
That sounds good. Is that
That's
alcohol?
fine. But, okay, back to what we were
Sounds
doing.
fancy.
Name the coffee flavor. Last week, Chrissy was so close. He said caramel macchiato, and it was a caramel latte. What are the guesses today?
I'm gonna say vanilla latte.
Okay.
So he's already had a cinnamon toast crunch, a white chocolate, and a caramel. I'm gonna say that it's some kind of like brown sugar latte type thing. Do you have a guess?
Maple nut crunch.
Okay.
That's very, very descriptive. It is actually called Coconut Dream. It has Hershey chocolate syrup and coconut.
That sounds really freaking good.
It is good. You know what's funny is I'm not a big fan usually of coconut, and yeah. We got Team Gatorade.
Yes, cheers.
Maple nut. Brandy, the other owner of Birkin Brewing Company, says maple nut crunch. Next menu item. We call it the Rob.
Yeah, that's how I like my coffee.
Some Johnny Walker Red splashed into it.
Go away. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
But guys, as always, this episode is sponsored by Birkin Brewing Company. Birkin is a botanically inspired coffee camper planted and owned in Warrensburg, Missouri. They specialize in eats and drinks that everyone will enjoy. Women-owned and operated, brewed just for you. Follow Birkin Brewing Company at the Instagram link below and receive 50 cents off your first order at the trailer. Also, Birkin Brewing Company does sell brewed ground coffee, medium dark roast or medium light roast, $11 a pound. Either order a ground or whole bean, and you know what? We'll ship it right to you. Dad, this one's for you. Just saying. You'll get it when I can get it to you. But guys and gentlemen, go ahead and check out Birkin Brewing Company and enjoy. But we all came here today for one thing. And should we just get right into the unedited movie reviews?
I think we should.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I literally do not have anything ready. All right, here we go. Woo! Oh, God. I like how she just dipped out of here, and we're not.
Yeah. War movies are not her thing.
I wasn't even ready.
Not her forte. It's not her
You know
forte.
what? That's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
it's
Right up there with heavy metal.
Oh, I'm not pointing to there. Oh, there we go.
None of these are like ready because they're like right on Kevin. That's what I get for
I was gonna say, am I supposed to like point to these? Because it's like right in my view.
I didn't watch Spotlight, so I'll be making the Irish Goodbye.
We have 2 movies to present. First one is All Quiet on the Western Front. Then we will do Spotlight with Chrissy. We'll do All Quiet on the Western Front with Rob. We'll play Spotlight. Chrissy will come back. We'll do Spotlight, and then we will announce what 2 movies we'll be doing next month, as well as showing our Oscar Best Picture nominee predictions. But to kick things off, let's take a look at All Quiet on the Western Front.
Ich habe Angst vor dem, was kommt.
Woo! What? I'm just gonna say right now before we get started, that's just a moving trailer.
Yeah.
Versus the movie that we watched. We'll get things off. Rob, just tell us, or no, unless you want Kevin to go first to show you how it's done. Rob, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Is this
okay? Tell us your thoughts, what you liked about it, what you disliked about it. Yeah. The bing, bada, boom.
Is this supposed to be spoiler free for 100-year-old source material, or?
Spoiler warning.
Although they did change some things.
They did. I did like how they added. Like I'm a history major, so like I really enjoy World War I as a topic and 20th century warfare in general. World War I to Vietnam, Korean War. This was great. It was a great movie, and those additions of what would later be known as the November Criminals signing that peace treaty, just juxtaposed with the battle, I thought was a great addition to the book. It was a really moving story and very simple. It's stuff that you don't typically get in Hollywood these days. It's a very well put together movie. You can feel the emotions of it. It's when I watch a war movie, whether it be something like Top Gun, where you feel like pride in your country and, like patriotism that comes with those kind of movies, or if you look at the horrors of warfare, seeing like your close friends die around you, like this movie, if you can bring those emotions out, you've done a heck of a job, and this movie shows.
Anything else?
I got plenty to talk about, but I don't know.
We'll go to Kevin. We can continue the cycle if we have more things that we want to add on. Kevin, go ahead. Tell us what you. And if you guys are in the audience, chime in, pipe in the comments. We want to hear your opinions. Go ahead.
Yeah, so unlike Rob, I didn't really know the source material going into this. I knew obviously this was based on another movie that came out in like the 30s and also a book, but I didn't really know a ton of what it was about other than it was like an anti-war film and really showcases the horrors of war. And my God, did it ever. I mean, I think the thing that this film does really well, and something that I think, you know, other war films do this, but this one particularly really stuck with me, is just getting to the very beginning, seeing the optimism that is within these characters and how they're excited to go off to war. They feel like they're doing something great. They feel like they are they're going to be the heroes of this story. And pretty much right from when they are in the trenches, the way that all of that hope, all of that optimism just immediately fades away, and throughout the film they become less and less human, and they start to become very like animalistic, and they start to realize just how, again, just how much their humanity just continues to shed away from them throughout the film. I think was just phenomenally handled here. I mean, for me, the best scene of the entire film, and the one that sticks with me, is when Paul is he fatally wounds this one guy, and he's like, at first he feels like, oh, I've accomplished this and things like that. And then all of a sudden there's that moment where he's like, oh shit, this guy has a family. And the one thing he keeps saying over and over again is, he just keeps apologizing, saying how sorry he is and things like that. And I feel like that moment alone really just showcases what they're trying to bring to the table. These aren't, terrible people. They're following orders. They're doing what they were told needs to be done. And I feel like that's something the movie does a really good job in showing, is that none of what these characters, none of what these men were doing in the movie are things that they wanted to do. This is what they thought was the correct thing to do because it's what they were instructed to do, but now are very much regretting it because they're seeing just how much of an impact this has on them. A lot of war films, they would depict like the enemy side is like very like savage, and like they're much more like, they're the ones that are like escalating things. But no, what I like about this film is it showcases that like there isn't really there's really no purpose to any of this other than they really are just escalating things. And I think the inclusion of seeing the men behind the scenes, who one of them is trying to put an end to this, but then you have the higher up who is like, oh no, we're going to keep this going for as long as possible because we want to come out more dominant, not because we want to look like the heroes, but we just want to look more dominant. We can't let go of our ego, and we are so focused on that we are going to do whatever we can to make sure that we are the dominant ones, especially when you have that moment where he's talking to all of them and they think that the war is going to be over. They think that they're almost done. He's like, but we don't want to go out as cowards, right? We want to go out with a bang. It's like, it's so fucked up to watch, but it's also something where like you could very well see it happening. Again, when it comes to the general and the guy that's in charge and things like that, it has nothing to do with some kind of purpose. It really is just for this own guy's, it really is just for this own guy's like ego and him just feeling like, oh, I succeeded in what I was doing. And I think the movie just does such a great job with that. I think the way it depicts war and all that stuff, it's so unrelenting in that way. And in general, I think it really does what it needs to do. Yes, there are other war films that have covered this, and it can feel a bit derivative at points because of it. But I think the things that they did here were very effective. I think especially that scene I alluded to, the battles themselves, they're not fun to watch. They're absolutely gruesome and horrifying, and you wouldn't want to ever put yourself in this situation. But that's exactly what they're trying to come across. And I think it definitely gets the job done in that way. And all the like technical awards and things like that this film has received, it very much is deserving of. And in general, I think it's just a highly effective film. I will say, if I had to have any sort of flaws with it, right off the bat, is that I wish we could have gotten a little bit more connected to some of the other characters. It's very focused on Paul and this relationship he forms with I forgot what his name was, but like this older guy, this friendship that they form. It's very focused on those two. I would have liked to see some of the other characters here and kind of seeing like how they're just as affected. And I also think that there is a moment in the second act where it kind of drags a bit, but other than that, I think it's a very effective film for sure. So I would probably give this an A-.
You're muted.
And you are muted.
Happens every time.
Always happens. I'm glad you brought that up because, fun fact, if you read the plot about it, it's a first person narrative.
Yeah.
So it's his narrative of the event.
Based on a novel, right?
Yes.
What?
Chrissy, with her English background, just wanted to let everybody know that it's based
Okay.
on.
So first off and foremost, before I watched this one, I read about the original 1930 movie of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
Which first and foremost, almost exactly the same. The ending a little differently. The ending ends in a whole different way. The ending to this one ends with him getting impaled, walking out into the trench, and dying in the trench. In the original one, he sees a butterfly, which in symbols hope and symbols like the present, like moving forward. He reaches out to do that, and as he reaches out, he gets shot. That's the original ending.
The main character?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
They all
Why did I
die.
come back here?
We haven't even talked about the guy that got burned up by a flamethrower yet.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, we haven't got there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This movie, I had a I tried watching it with an English dub. I tried watching it with German. Tried watching it with English. Preferred the German. I'm glad that I'm watching it in German because it is a German movie. And my thing is this: if you dub over something, don't watch the movie. There's no point. It's a German-based movie. It talks about the Germans in the trenches. It's that kind of thing. I just want to say I love the technical aspect behind it. I love the costumes, the makeup, the way watching some of these people die. I cried at some points, and that's what I've watched news videos about this. And the main guy, I can't think of his name. I think it's Fred. I don't remember the guy who plays Paul.
Felix.
But he said, "Oh, it's Felix." Yeah,
Felix,
he said that people have he had to turn off social media because people are messaging him going like, "Oh, it made me cry. This is what made me do this." I don't know. It just was very moving and powerful to me. It was kind of slow to start out. Then just the war happened and everything going on in it. Him losing his friends, especially the one that said, "I want to go home to my mom," and then died that same night. Yeah, I really loved it. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to put into words how much I actually enjoyed watching this movie. Yeah, no, I really watched the 1930 version too. I give it an A. I'm sorry, I suck at giving this one because I don't know. There's just so much thought and process that went through it, and knowing I've seen 1917. I've seen other movies that take place in this time, but seeing it from different perspectives. Because with 1917, you saw the British side. All Quiet on the Western Front, you saw the German side. I want to see a war movie where you see the American side.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
The French side.
All right. I mean,
The other powers that were there,
the reason why I like this movie so much is because it gives you a perspective that you're not used to. I've seen American war movies all the time. You want to see an American movie, see Top Gun. It's good.
Yeah, literally.
But what this movie is, it's a distinctly German movie. It was a German book. We've had 2, maybe 3 adaptations of All Quiet on the Western Front that were American. First one was by Hollywood in 1930, and then you had one in the 70s with Ernest Borgnine.
So they were
so there you got.
Oh, there was a second one?
For somebody who teaches history, she doesn't.
I do not teach history.
You did
I
teach
did not
history.
know there was a
Not
second
World War
one.
II. We're talking about World War
No,
One.
this is World War
Me
One.
neither.
Yes. Nope.
See,
Even worse. World War One's worse.
this backseat comment I got going on. All right, so I mean, but I really like the fact that this was a very well put together foreign film that gives you a different perspective than what we're used to. To counteract Kevin's point, my favorite scene in the movie was the opening credits. It did a great job of showing instead of telling, with the fact that they're looking at the soldiers as just cogs in the machine. He's wearing somebody else's uniform that goes through the process of getting the blood out of it, having seamstresses like sew back over bullet holes like that. That's not something that's American. We arm our troops very well. We make sure they're ready for battle. Like, they have the best state-of-the-art equipment, even in World War I, World War II. Like, you know, we were a machine that kept us, like, you know, like Germany could not compete with what America was. I think giving this German perspective is something that you don't see very much out of movies. So definitely, I like the perspective it gave us from a German point of view.
Okay, my favorite scene, I'm going to disagree with both of you. My favorite scene is also what happens to be the most moving and gut-wrenching scene, because as you see Paul, he actually ends up, like, you know, coming to terms with being in the war, and he's kind of proud that he served, and he's like doing all this stuff at the very end. But the part that got me is the very end. He dies kind of like as a hero to himself. But the sucky part is that his efforts will never go noticed, because the guy just took the scarf and left his dog tag behind his little. And to me, that kind of just shows that, like, during that time, a lot of people lost their lives to it. And who knows how many people lost their lives, and if we know everyone who was involved from either side. Yeah,
they're all nameless.
Yeah. And I think that trailer that we saw gives a good point with that quote. Like, it's one of the scariest things to live through. And yeah. Rob, what do you give this movie?
If I were a Hollywood type, I mean, this is, I think, the best movie, not just this year, but for a long time to come around to be nominated. Quite frankly, there's been a lot of hot garbage in the past with the Academy Awards. This one I would definitely rank as probably the best film of the decade, like, in my opinion. Like, it's definitely an A. I from me. Recent movies I can't really say have been like top tier. This is definitely a top tier movie.
I will say this: if it wins the Best Picture, it will be the second time All Quiet on the Western Front has walked home with the Best Picture, because in 1930 it won that at the time the outstanding picture or outstanding production, which would later become the Best Picture for its filming, and I think it deserves to be up there with the movies that it's with. So, anything else, Rob? Would you give it an A? Is that what you gave it?
Yeah, definitely. If that's the highest you guys go, A+.
You go to A+. You can go
A++. I mean, there's other stuff we could definitely talk about. Like, I think it's poignant, like, with current times. So, like, World War I was like a turning point in history that very rarely gets looked at. World War II, definitely a sexier war with, you know, Nazis being bad guys and us going after them. World War I, it definitely getting more. World War I. World War I.
Where you going? Come back.
Was a turning point in history because, like, of how mechanized things became. You know, like, it's a war that trench warfare did a great job of highlighting that. Yep. Like, you know, I think you get that in the general who's frustrated at the fact that he was born too late to be in a great battle. So he can't do what he wants to do. He's been sitting in that same house because they're only moving 100 meters at a time in the trenches. Like, you know, they're fighting for only like small bits of land. And it's a turning point because of like World War I and World War II like shaped the 20th century and the political landscape, and basically set the stage for the United States versus the Soviet Union. Now we're like the world superpower. A question becomes, like, you know, with our current state, like this kind of reminds us what world conflict looks like. And with current events right now, it makes it a very poignant film that, and I think we might want to recognize that fact that like, even though this is 100 years ago, over 100 years ago now,
still happening.
We do have now European conflicts. We've got China versus Taiwan. Like, what's going to come of that? More and more countries are mobilizing their militaries as well. They're investing more into their militaries. Like, is there, like, you know, we've been that superpower for so long that, you know, we're not used to like other countries like growing their military, and they do it in a different way.
Yeah.
This is something like, you know, I think what war movies do is they want like, you know, very few people get to experience war in this day and age. This was a time where everybody experienced war in some capacity. I think movies are a good medium for reminding you of what exactly that is like. It in no way comes close to what warfare is like, but it is good to, it's almost educational in a social way to see these movies. So hopefully we never have to go through something like that again, but it does serve as a very powerful reminder of what war is like, what global conflict is like, and how it affects those common people. As voters in the most powerful superpower in the history of the world, like, it's something that we need to keep in mind. And I'm glad that Netflix gives that medium to another country to get their perspective, their historical perspective, written by somebody who's gone through World War I, and like, you know, we get to experience that.
Damn, I didn't realize you were gonna get a history.
I told you he would talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, we are going to transfer gears. Rob, you're more than welcome to stay on and join us for this next one. We are going to take a look at our views of Spotlight.
I know there's things you cannot tell me, but I also know there's a story here, and I think everybody will hear about it.
Do you think your paper has the resources to take that on?
I do. Do you?
The Boston priests molested kids in 6 different parishes over the last 30 years. The church found out about it and did nothing. We haven't committed any long-term investigative resources to the case.
No, we haven't.
And that's the kind of thing your team would do.
Spotlight? Guys, listen. Everybody's going to be interested in this.
Obviously, the church will fight us very hard.
I'm trying to get some background information.
I don't want you recording this in any way, shape, or form. Nothing.
We understand you've settled several cases against the church.
I can't discuss that.
There aren't any records of any of these settlements.
Nope.
When you're a poor kid from a poor family, and when a priest pays attention to you, it's a big deal. How do you say no to God?
Spotlight.
This is the tip line.
You think he's got something?
I want to keep digging.
We need to focus on the institution. Show me that it came from the top down.
They'll try to silence anyone who speaks out.
You leave me alone, you hear me, goddammit?
6% act out sexually.
6% is 90.
90 priests.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know.
Maybe they do. You're going to give me the names and the names of their victims. Are you threatening me?
I was doing my job.
Yeah, you and everyone else.
I am here because I care. We're going to tell this story. We're going to tell it right.
I'm hoping we can keep this between us until we all get on the same page. Is that why we're here, to get on the same page? We've got two stories here. A story about degenerate clergy, and a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry. Which story do you want us to write? Because we're writing one of them.
I'm not crazy. They control everything. This is not just Boston. It's the whole country. It's the whole world.
They knew, and they let it happen. It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been any of us.
I just want to say, first and foremost, intense. Both movies we chose this month, intense.
Yeah, these are not. We did not choose the lighthearted bunch.
We are going to start with Kevin. Give us your rundown.
Yeah, so I will say, full disclosure, I haven't seen this one in a while. I watched it when it first came out in 2015. I actually have a poster for it on my wall right over there. It's been there literally since I saw the movie. So
I
that's
didn't see
cool.
it. I couldn't see it.
It's like, yeah, it's out. I'm pointing. It's kind of hard to see, but it's like it's right there next to.
Oh, I see it. I see it. It's next to the one, two from the Batman helmet. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a bunch of fucking popcorn buckets because my feeder's doing that recently, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Yeah, this is a very powerful film. The one thing I will say right off the bat that I think this movie does exceptionally well is that, yes, we've seen a lot of films about like investigative, journalists and things like that, but what I think this movie recognizes is that each one of the journalists we follow in this movie, they have some kind of story that they're going through. They're affected by this case in some way, and some of them it's much bigger than others. Rachel McAdams' character, for example, someone who usually is attending church with her grandmother, and after hearing all the disturbing details of this case can't even really bring herself to do it anymore. You have like Michael Keaton's character, who we find out, spoiler, later on the film, has known about these cases for a long time, but just never knew when to actually release them. And I think that's something this movie does really well, is it shows the delicacy of this situation where it's like, yeah, this is something that's affecting a lot of people, but how do we come out about this? How do we, release this story? We need to release this story, but how exactly do we go about it? Because it could have much bigger implications of not just this church, but many churches around the world. And I think this film really kind of shows, giving you an example of what happens behind closed doors that we just don't hear enough about. And it's something that we very well should hear about, because it's still going on to this very day. There are priests and things like that who will take advantage of children just from them, telling them stories or getting close to them and things like that. And I think this film really does not hold back in showcasing those details. And I think they do such an incredible job with that. Like I said, so many amazing performances in this film, but Mark Ruffalo is fucking amazing here. Probably the best performance that I've seen from him. I think he just does such an incredible job in this movie. You can see how determined this guy is to make sure that this case, make sure that this story is released, but also handle it in that delicate manner that it needs to be. And I think he does a really great job with that in this film. Yeah, just in general, I think this is such an amazing film. Tom McCarthy is an incredible director as well. He does a great job of, again, making this feel authentic and recognizing that this actually happened, but also giving it the proper necessary emotional depth that it really needs. It's not an easy film to watch, and it shouldn't be. And I like that Tom McCarthy doesn't at any point try to sanitize what happened. No, he tells you very clearly how this happened, all the, details and things like that. And I think the movie does such a great job. There's so many things here that I really was not expecting, and just in general, I think it's such a authentic experience that, like I said, it's It's a very hard film to watch at points, but I think everything that it does super well, and it absolutely deserved the Best Picture win that it ended up getting that year. It was one of my favorite films of 2015, and it's one of those films that, even though again it's been a while since I've seen it, there are certain scenes that are still very much lingering with me years later, and I think that really just shows how powerful of a film this really is. So yeah, I really love this one a lot. A+ for this one. I'm happy this was the movie that was chosen, because it is one that I really do love a lot.
I'm glad it was chosen too.
I did not want to watch Crash.
Oh my God, I remember.
I don't remember what else was on the wheel, but I was like, as long as it's not Crash, we'll be fine.
I think the one that probably had a different take on watching this, Chrissy.
Yeah, so this was interesting for me. I went into it a little like apprehensive because I was a Catholic school teacher for 9 years. I'm active in ministry in my church. I've like been pretty active in the church, but I know that my church is my church, right? What up, Sacred Heart? You'll probably never see this, but I'm in the music ministry for my church. I got married in my church.
The church's Twitter real quick.
Sacred Heart, it's not you. We know it's not you, and that's why I've never left. But without saying too much, like I have been around situations of people that this has impacted, not at my church. But when I first started working in the Catholic school system in 2007, I wondered like we were always like praying for priest vocations, and we were always wondering why priests and sisters were so like short-staffed and why there was such a need. And this shed like a lot of light on it for me. This was a very interesting perspective to look at. And also just like the town of Boston in general, right, is like not that big and now is a lot more like liberal. But the fact that everybody kind of knew each other, and it was like everybody played a part in kind of like sweeping it, sweeping it under the rug.
You can say that it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very much swept under the rug.
The church was at fault. The press was somewhat at fault. The police were at fault. Everybody in that community that just kind of turned a blind eye to it, like right from the beginning, where the cops were like, "Yeah, no, he's gonna leave." Like, and the guy I think it was like a bishop or somebody, he just like left. So it was interesting. Like, I liked that it wasn't like that it focused on one specific city and gave like real facts and statistics to what was going on, and not just say like, yeah, this is the whole church. This is what the church does. They were like, no, this is 90 priests in Boston. But yes, it does happen. I liked pretty much everything. The one thing I wish it had done a little more, but then again, like, okay, so I'll say this. If I had to critique anything, I would say, like, I wish I got a little bit more backstory on some of the characters, like the flashback we had from the beginning. But at the same time, they kind of made up for it. Like, for example, like the guy, I think he was like a gay man, and he was talking to
the girl.
He was talking to Rachel McAdams' character, I think.
Yeah, in the restaurant.
And he was like they were interviewing, and it was almost like, yeah, I kind of wish we got a flashback, but we almost didn't need it, because the way that these victims explained their stories was just so powerful, and like it's almost like you didn't need it. Like, it was, you would get so pissed off and so passionate about it at the same time. And then the one guy that was like, I couldn't even finish my ice cream cone because my ice cream cone was like rolling down my arm because I was that freaked out about what was going on and I didn't know what to do. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like, I went in a little like apprehensive, but I think I came out like I was better for watching it. Like, it gave a really interesting perspective. It was interesting that they shared like real, true, factual information. I liked how conflicted like Michael Keaton's character was throughout the story. You could really kind of see like, not that I could tell like he knew something, but I could tell like something was kind of up. And Mark Ruffalo just I didn't at first I was like, he's being a little extra, but I was like, no, he's just like the brand new teacher that sees the good in everything and he wants to like fix it. And my man was running to that, what was it, like a library? No, it was a courthouse, whatever. My man was running. Like he didn't have time to wait to fix this. I feel like he was like the glue that held them all together, that like carried it to the point where they finally got it together in the end, even though they had to like break because of the 9/11 stories, but they got it together in the end. And yeah, I thought like it wasn't like a movie I would normally watch. I normally watch more like funny things or like girly things, but it was like it didn't really like have a ton of like action, but it just kind of the storytelling and the perspectives of all the different victims and characters, like it kind of just pulled it together for me. I thought it was pretty good. I would give it an A.
I want to start by saying I tried watching it one night and I was like, okay, I got almost all the way through it and I went, no. I got to start over. I got to watch this tomorrow. I got to just sit down, put my phone away, watch it. Because they throw a lot of stuff at you.
There's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's very heavy. First off, I spent 95% of the movie trying to figure out where Brian Darcy James was because he looks completely different now versus then. But like the fact that this movie, it shined light on. I know some of our viewers knew about this going on, heard about this going on. It was big news. The fact that it didn't just happen to boys, it happened to girls. That's where they had oh my goodness, what's it called? What's the guy's organization? You okay, Chrissy? Baby?
Me?
Yeah, it's like breathe like whew.
No, I'm getting kicked. Anyway, go ahead.
His organization, when he said that there was a girl and it just doesn't happen to boys, it can happen to girls too. Like hearing SNAP, that's what it's called.
I was
the
gonna
survivor
say
network of those abused by priests. It was very emotional and very raw. Being in a scouting organization when I was in scouts, and we did it in Catholic churches, we did it in like all these churches. Just to think about what's going on now, like with a bunch of things that are happening, putting into perspective now with the scouting and stuff like that, what's happening in scouts, it kind of like goes the same way. One thing that I was very taken aback by, was at the very end when they mentioned the 105 U.S. communities and the 100 plus like countries that this has like been uncovered from. And I saw St. Louis, I saw Kansas City, I saw Philadelphia, I saw something somewhere in Delaware. I just very shocking. But what I saw from the outcome of this was, and I put this over here, so I'm gonna read this over here. This film was met with positive reviews from like the Catholic community. Like a lot of Catholic community members liked it, and even like the cardinal at the time issued a statement saying like this, like the Boston Globe's like investigation on the abuse like instigated a call for the church to take responsibility for its failings and to reform itself, and to deal with something that was hidden. And for the cardinal of the Catholic Church to be like, this is something that helped, like we're looking now, like it's gonna be a bigger thing. That says a lot. And it's a movie. So like I said, the fact that it only won 2 awards, very, very shocking. It won the first Best Picture of the night, which was screenplay, and then won Best Picture. So overall, I give it an A. Anything else?
Mark Ruffalo was iconic. I think I'm pretty sure I already said that though.
I did forget to say. I also think the film like sheds lights on the victims really well. I like that it doesn't hold back. Like we really get to see just how they're feeling in that moment, and I think the film does a really good job in showcasing that.
I feel like it did a pretty good job. Like, I don't know, as somebody who's kind of like, not that I studied media, I had like one communications class in college, but just learned enough about it just to be an English teacher. I think it's like, from what I've read, it seemed like a pretty accurate depiction of like working for a newspaper, and like how you can just like your story can just get easily brushed aside, and how difficult it is to get people to open up to you and tell you like what's going on, especially in a sensitive case like this.
And I think Liv Schreiber's character, Baron, also noticed that when he said, "I'll give you guys till Monday."
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, notice how stressful it was on all of them, especially with the revelation of Michael Keaton's character. He was like, "I'm giving you guys till Monday."
Oh, and the lawyers, they were corrupt too.
I hate the lawyers.
I mentioned it because I said the church was at fault, the police were at fault, the lawyers too.
Yeah.
And then what was I was going to say something else, but now it's like gone. Oh yeah, there was some character, I forget who she was, but her last name was McNamara, and they kept saying her name. They kept saying McNamara, and I was like, what?
Like, what'd you say to me?
We're still gonna stay on these unedited movie. We're gonna move to some lighthearted. We are going to figure out what movies we are doing in April. First, we already have one chosen. As always, there's always one chosen. And that movie is Baby Driver.
Oh my God. Rob, you're coming back now.
That movie is Baby Driver. But now it's time to figure out what movie will be featured alongside of it. The options are, let me bring them up, because it's time for the wheel. We have
trash.
Sandlot, Maze Runner, Interstellar, Booksmart, Hateful Eight, and Perks of Being a Wallflower. We had a very dark
movies.
What?
I said those are very different movies. Jesus Christ.
We had some very outside. We have very strong movies for last month. We're gonna have some lighthearted ones. Let us find out right now what movie is going to be alongside Baby Driver. And go. Maybe not. Go. There we go.
Oh, yes.
Never seen it.
I have never seen it.
Is it funny?
I'm gonna like very like beg for when we actually do this movie to get the person who. So there you go. There is our picks for April. I'm gonna beg the person who picked this movie.
Oh my God, you got
which was guess what, Lucas.
Oh, I really thought that came from your dad for some reason. I don't know why.
No, this came from Lucas. So not only are we having him back at the end of the month, I'm going to have him back on for this movie. He's going to be on here like 6 times. But there you go.
Oh
there is our movie choices for April. Baby Driver, The Hateful Eight, April 13th. We are super excited about that. This does not end here. This is our Oscars-themed episode.
Whoosh, nice.
So let's take a look at the movies that are nominated this year for Best Picture. So today I asked Kevin and Chrissy to pick their nominee for Best Picture, and Kevin and Chrissy both chose individually, separately, did not know that the other one was doing it, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and I chose All Quiet on the Western Front. Is there any reason why you guys chose those movies as the one to win?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's been really clear this award season that there is a huge amount of love for Everything Everywhere All at Once. We have not seen the kind of sweep that it's been doing across all award ceremonies in years, especially most recently. For a while, people thought the best actress was going to Cate Blanchett. Now it seems like it very well could go to Michelle Yeoh, because the first thing that people say when Everything Everywhere All at Once is, thanking Michelle Yeoh and things like that. You have it winning for like editing at like the BAFTA when it didn't win like anything else. And that means a lot that the BAFTA gave it to that, because they were obsessed with All Quiet on the Western Front and it did not get editing. So I think that's a pretty big reason. I think the fact that there are so many other awards that it has taken, I just feel like at this point it's pretty clear, especially when you look at last year, the kind of love that Coda was getting at this point last year, which kind of came out of nowhere. For a while, a lot of people thought it was going to be Power of the Dog, and then Coda just started to get this big push. I feel like Everything Everywhere has had pretty much since it came out, but it hasn't stopped. And the thing is, like, everybody keeps trying to look for alternatives, and I just don't really see them. Like, I think the narrative could be there for All Quiet on the Western Front, but we also have to remember Edward Berger did not get a Best Director nomination, and that means something. Most of the time when that happens, like, they're nominating them for Best Director. That usually, and especially if they win Best Director, like, that's an indication it's winning Best Picture. I think the best example I can give for that is when Bong Joon-ho won for Parasite. Everybody was like freaking out because it's like, oh my God, Parasite's about to take Best Picture, and it took Best Picture. So I just feel like it's clear to me at this point that it's going to be Everything Everywhere, and as it should be, in my opinion. That's an amazing film. But if All Quiet wins, I'll be very happy for it. But I do think, for me, that's why I'm thinking Everything Everywhere.
Crazy.
He knows a lot more than me. I was just like, I've seen 2 of these movies and I like this one the best. But also, like, kind of like he said, like, you see everybody like talking about it and praising the lead actress. And it's like, as you can see, like, Rob and I don't always, like, we're very different, so we don't always like the same thing. We both watched that movie together and both had like just very different reactions, but liked it in the same way. And it like messed with my head for a while. I was a little confused, but it was like a good confused.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the film. I see a lot of people talking about it. I don't know. I just was like, I'm going with this one.
I think especially
statistics that he knows.
I'm going to be honest. I loved Michelle Yeoh. I wasn't a fan of the movie.
Okay.
So I mean, I think Michelle Yeoh, I honestly think that every person who is nominated for that, like, because it's the first time that the same movie, all of the major characters are nominated for either supporting actress, supporting actor, actor. Jamie Lee Curtis, all of the family members, everyone's nominated.
Oh, she's got a nomination too?
Yeah, I think they're going to win that. But I have a feeling it's going to be like Moonlight. When Moonlight won over La La Land, when everyone thought La La Land was going to be the movie, and Moonlight won. I feel like it's going to be like that. It's going to get every nomination, but that one. I just think so. So we have a couple of comments here.
I'm pretty sure I know what Rob would pick.
Brandy says, loved Everything Everywhere. Yeah, so there's that. And that wraps up our unedited movie review. Ooh, that was fun.
Yeah.
Are you ready to switch gears to see what we're doing next week?
Oh, I know what's coming.
Next week, we are excited to welcome back Difficult Discussions and my friend Brinkley Beaver for a 2-hour episode over the Idaho State murders and the Murdaugh murders. So we're going to do the first hour over Idaho State. Well, actually, no, we'll probably do the first hour over Murdaugh and the second hour over Idaho State, mainly because of the fact Murdaugh just won. Murdaugh just finished, so we will.
Wait, didn't? Okay, I was like, wait, wasn't he guilty?
Yeah, he's found guilty. That's what I'm saying. I meant to say over, not won.
Okay, I was like, what?
Over. He got found guilty. Spoiler alert.
I was gonna say.
So, guys, we did it. We celebrated our 50th episode.
Woo!
We have some more shows down the pipeline. We may have a special guest joining us that we have not announced yet. We do not know. But we're super excited. So, guys, next week, remember, 2 hours. Murders. Idaho State and Murdaugh with Brinkley and Difficult Discussions. It'd be nice to have them back. Everyone has their own input and voice about this. So it's going to be kind of interesting.
Szechuana in the house.
Purple alien.
She will be here and she identifies as a purple alien. Thank you very much.
We are going to transfer gears. We are going to we're going to run through our handles real quick before we say our goodbyes. So we're going to start with Kevin.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun to do, especially talking about like Oscar predictions and things like that. Always get very excited. And I think we're in for a very exciting show on Sunday, for sure, especially if what we think is going to happen is going to happen. We'll see how that does go. I think it's going to be one of the most unpredictable in a while, especially across like acting categories. There's been almost no consistency, which
I'm so glad Jimmy Kimmel's hosting it too.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, as always,
no slaps this year.
Yeah, please. We've had enough of that.
Is that a year?
Thank you as always for having me. This is always a lot of fun. You guys can follow me over on my Instagram and things like that. Also on my YouTube, I'll probably be talking about a lot of these Oscar related things. So yeah,
Are you gonna go live on your YouTube?
Oh yeah, as always, I do Oscars live stream, and you guys will see that throughout the night. If you want to see my reactions, all that stuff, it's gonna be a fun time. So
if I'm home, I'm going to pop in right before they announce Best Picture and be like, I told you so.
Listen, that would be, there's been plenty of times where I've gone in super confident and then someone's like, no, Kevin, this is going to happen. I'm like, no, it's not. And then it happens and I feel like a fucking fool.
Like 3 years ago, everyone said Roma's going to win. Roma's going to win. It took a lot of things. And then Green Book took it and I was like, told you.
Yeah, that was...
Anyway, Chrissy.
I feel very I can't believe I had the same prediction as Kevin. I feel like I did a good job now. Follow me at @CRSmack_4.
I had them send it to me separate, so they did it blind.
Yeah, I was like, I just DM'd you like on the side. Yeah, follow me if you haven't yet. I would say follow my husband, but he doesn't even know how to get into his Instagram. But hope you enjoyed his perspective on what I think is maybe his favorite movie ever, or like definitely up there, top 3. So,
if you guys want to follow me, it's @JHanton. The Instagram for our podcast is, as always, CJ Unedited Podcast. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for being here. For those watching, this is our 50th episode. We couldn't have been here without you guys. Especially since this is going to be the only season this year. We are trying to relish every single moment and episode we can do in 2023. Because once Chrissy pops out Finn, we're gonna be taking a nice hot break. So
yeah, we're gonna be busy.
Guys, remember next week, 2 hours of murders, Idaho State and Murdaugh with Brinkley Beaver and Difficult Discussions. And until next week, we're gonna bring it right back. Until next week. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Enjoy the Oscars, and remember to live your life 100% unedited. Pie.
Just watch me breaking your